Hello, welcome to the Carousel of Conversations. You're in for a real treat. Join us as we take a spin through the past, present, and future of all things Disney. Here, where there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow just a podcast away. Let the podcast begin.
Okay, I am actually really excited about today's episode.
Of course you are. You're always excited.
But this one's a cool one. We've got Juliette with us today.
Yes,
This is Juliette.
someone took his spot.
Noah decided to go to the beach, so we decided to replace him with somebody a little bit cooler. So
Yeah, has a little bit more experience than he does.
yes, definitely. Today we have Juliette with us. Juliette is gonna be an awesome addition to today's episode. She is a former Disney Cruise cast member. She has been to just about, not all of them, I don't think, but just about every Disney park.
Yeah, I've only got Shanghai and Hong Kong left to visit.
Nice.
Oh, and the new one.
And
The new one they're gonna build. Yes.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a couple of years.
It's hard
still.
on the road.
And then, how many ships have you been on for Disney cruises?
I've only been on the original 4, so the Disney Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, and the Fantasy. So we're working on the others.
Gotcha.
But
Nice.
Well, you've been on more than us because we haven't been on any cruises at all. We are land creatures.
Exactly. I'm a little bit nervous. We'll talk about that a little bit later with this about cruises. Cruises make me more nervous than anything else. And so, anyway. Juliette also works for the same travel agency I do, and they are building their travel agency as well. What's the name of your travel agency on so they can find you?
sure, we're Core Memory Trips. We like to focus on all the memories you make. So, yeah.
And is that
Nice,
a
yeah.
play off Inside Out?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
My
I
mom
like
and
it.
do
I like
together,
it.
so she's my travel
Oh,
buddy.
fun.
So we're like, why not go into business together?
Yes.
Exactly. So today we're going to be focusing on specifically Disney cruises, since Juliette is way more of an expert than we are on cruises and all things cruise related. And we have never been on a cruise, and we've always wanted to talk about cruises, but we have zero experience on it.
Yeah, every time we go to book a cruise, we end up booking a Disney World trip instead. So we've not been successful.
They go on one, just take it and go.
I know. We have so many questions. And so this week,
Yeah.
instead of like us informing people, we are going to be the learners. We're going to ask all the questions.
So this might be a little bit longer of an episode too, because we're going to ask all the questions of Juliette.
Yep.
And so we're very excited to learn from her and learn if we should book our actual Disney cruise or if we should just keep going to Disney World.
Or even
Oh, maybe.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Back to back. Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into. I just kind of wanted to ask you general questions about what you did on Disney cruises first. So, what was your role on the Disney Cruise Line, and how long did you work there?
So I was a youth activities counselor for about 2 years on board the Disney Dream, right after it came out. So I got to kind of open the ship, but not be on the opening team, but around then. So I got to hang out with all the kids.
Fun. So
That
is this
sounds
like
fun.
the where parents drop the kids off
Yeah.
and you're in charge?
Yep.
Oh yes, I have questions.
Now, were you in the babies, or like what age group did you do?
So they have lots of different ages. There's an actual nursery. I did not do that. I did the Oceaneer Club and Lab. So that's like the 3-year-olds to 9-year-olds, give or take.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
they have a tween club, which is for like you can go when you're 9, but they like it when you're more like 10. So the 10 to 13, I think it was. And then Vibe was the teen club. So those are all the way till 17. It was
So
really
you had toddlers.
fun.
Toddlers to 9, yeah.
Yeah,
Oof.
they're like 3-year-olds are the littlest that I had to hang out with. but,
Okay.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're fun at that age.
They are, yeah. They like to follow their older siblings around, and sometimes you would find them like wandering, and they're like, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm looking for someone. It's like, "What do they look like?" I'm like, well, they're
So
pissed."
was with the like how long would you keep them for?
So
Or what was the longest you kept a kid for?
The
Maybe that's
longest?
the better question.
honestly, we would have some kids that came when we opened and stayed until we closed at like 11 o'clock at night.
Wow. On a Disney cruise
On a
too.
Disney cruise, yeah. They're like, "Bye, Mom, bye,
Wow.
Dad. I'm gonna go have fun in the kids club."
Oh, so
So
it was
did the
their
kids wanna
choice.
do it?
Yeah,
That was the
okay.
kids' choice, yeah. Like,
Wow, okay.
so-
I guess I always pictured it as like parents, like we're gonna go do our thing, you know. But if
No,
the kids wanted
parents
to
can
do
just
it,
drop them off whenever they want, or the kids want. We took my nieces on one a couple years ago, and my mom and I didn't see them at all. They just wanted to stay in the club.
that's fun. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do it because, like, I love bringing our daughter along. Like, she makes it more fun for me. So I don't know if I could do that.
But there's so many
I think I would
activities
struggle.
that you wouldn't know. Like, you wouldn't miss
Yeah.
it. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
But, like, she's
Right.
having fun. You can go have fun, or you can go to the spa, or you
Right.
can go on Castaway Key. You can check your kids into the club on the island, and then you go have fun on the island yourselves, which is pretty
Oh,
cool.
they do it on the island as well.
Mhm.
Interesting.
They-
So what
both
is
their-
that whole process of like, I'm sorry, RJ, if I'm getting off track, but I had questions.
No, you're good. No, I expect this to go way off track.
We've never been on a cruise, and like the kids specific area is the one where I had all my questions. So like what is like from a mom's perspective, sometimes it's even hard for me to like drop her off. Like a couple weeks ago at Awana Clubs, they had a practice and there was no adult service. So we dropped her off and then we went to have dinner and I'm like, who's going to watch her? Like I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And so like, what is the whole check-in process for kids into the wing and stuff like that?
So first of all the counselors on board are vetted like extensively, so you know they're safe people.
Yeah.
All the crew members are, but especially the ones working with kids, because you know.
Sure.
Right.
So each kid has a band. They're like magic bands for the parks. They're little red ones.
Okay.
And you go and you scan your magic band, and it'll say, "Oh, welcome," whatever your kid's name is. And
Fun. Yeah.
so they'll let you in, they'll let the kids in. If it's closed programming, the parents can't go in, which is kind of a bummer.
Okay.
But when there's open programming, like they're doing an open house, you can go have fun with your kid. So it's like you're still in charge of your kid. But they always wash their hands before they go play. And then honestly, there's so many options in the clubs themselves for the kids to do things. They do science projects, art projects, like characters come in and there's a pajama party sometimes, and it's just
fun.
it's so fun. Like the entire deck is for kids.
The whole
The
deck.
whole deck, yeah. So
Oh,
like,
it's
on
not just like a room. Okay.
it's the
Yeah.
whole deck. There's a fun fact.
Wow.
The ceilings are lower on the deck of the
Okay.
kids club because they want the parents to feel like kids. Which is
Oh,
kinda funny.
fun.
Everything's shrunk down. There's
Little
different rooms
Disney
in each
magic
of
there.
Yeah, there's different rooms in each of the club. There's an Andy's room, so Toy Story related. There's a Star Wars room on some of the ships. There's a part where you can drive the Millennium Falcon. That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew that would get you talking.
That's cool.
It's just on the Navigator app, there's different activities that'll be listed for kids in the kids club, and you can just put a little heart on it and say, "Oh, I want to go to that," or the kids can go, "Oh, yeah, that sounds fun. Let's do that." So yeah.
And that's
That
really
sounds like a
cool.
blast.
It's very
Like
very
day camp,
organized.
kind of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very organized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind
Yeah.
of like a day camp, I guess you could call it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes me feel better.
You're not just running wild. There's activity.
Yeah.
It's not a free for all.
Yes.
Okay, so kind of to segue into the next one, have you ever been on any other cruises or would know or have experience with like what it's like working Disney cruises versus another cruise line?
I've only ever worked for Disney Cruise Line, but we have been on Princess Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean as guests. Um, Disney is just, they're better. My niece went to the kids club on Royal Caribbean and she thought it wasn't very fun, but she had also not been in like school at the time, so I don't know if that was part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say because I've never been in the kids club over on the other ship.
Nice.
It's kind of like when
All right.
we go on a different type of vacation, we're just like, it's just not Disney.
Yeah,
Like this is fun,
Yeah.
but this is just not Disney.
Yeah.
Every time we go somewhere else, we do that. We try to like we went to the beach and we're like, oh man, this hotel's not very comfortable.
Right.
A Disney hotel would be
Yeah.
comfortable. Oh man, this dinner was expensive. Disney dinner would have been way better for the price. You know, it's
You
kind of
get what
like
you
that
pay
same
for
thing.
almost. Like you're paying
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Disney top-notch expectations, and then
Yeah.
you go on some other vacation and you're like, yeah, this is not Disney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Disney wouldn't do that.
Yes.
So being on a Disney cruise and a Royal Caribbean, did you go on one of the newer Royal Caribbean cruises or one of the older ones that?
It wasn't one of the newest ones, but it was one of the like teenager ones. I don't know, like the middle.
Okay.
It's not new, but it's not old.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was smaller.
I gotcha.
There was a lot of partying, and we're not really the party people. So
Yeah.
we didn't get into that scene, but we also were bored on Royal.
Oh, interesting.
A lot of the things you had to pay for, and we didn't know that. Like there was an escape room that we wanted to do, and you had to pay for it, and you had to book it way ahead of time, and we didn't know that. Where on Disney, you walk into a venue and it's free, and they just accept whoever wants to come in, which is great.
So my parents are cruise people, and they do Royal Caribbean. They're not on the Disney game like we are, but they're both like loungers.
Okay.
Like my mom will, suntan. My dad will stay in the shade, but they just like to sit all day. So are you the type of cruise person that just lounges, or do you want to be doing things?
It depends on what we're feeling. Sometimes we want to just go sit on like the open deck and watch the waves and relax, read a book. But other times we want to play games, or we want to go swimming or go on the water slides or anything. So it just depends on how we're feeling.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So you would need a boat that has a lot of activities for you to. I'm that way. Like my skin was not made for the sun.
No.
So I have to go do things.
I have to go be inside in the air conditioning.
Yes.
I also wanted to ask, because you said most things on Disney cruises are free. So the kids club on Disney cruises is free as well, correct?
The big kids clubs are, yes. So the Oceaneer Club, Vibe, Edge are free, but the nursery you pay like a small fee per hour. I want to say it's like $20, but I could be completely wrong. I don't remember. I don't have a little kid right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
That would make
no.
sense for babies. Yeah.
And your baby has to be 6 months or older to go in the nursery, or to sail. So
Yeah.
Oh, to sell. Yeah.
So like the group that you watched though was definitely a free, like the for the parents type
Yeah,
thing.
it was
I mean, obviously you're paying for it in the cruise price,
Right.
but like
right, it's not an additional
Yeah.
cost. Yeah, no, it was included in the cruise.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, now to kind of shift gears a little bit, what was it like to be a cast member? Like, what did your day look like? Did you work all day? Did you have some free time to go do the fun things outside of the cruise? Like, what did your day look like?
It honestly depended on where you fell on the schedule. Sometimes you would be a morning start and then you'd get off of work early, or you'd be in the middle of the day and you'd get off around 10 p.m., or you'd be like a closer where you would start at 6 p.m. and stay until they closed.
Yeah,
so
right.
that depended on where you fell. But if you had time off in the daytime, you could go out on the ports, you could go in the guest areas, and my department was really fortunate to have the privileges of going into guest areas. Some
Oh, fun.
yeah, so we got to do like the pools, the jacuzzi, the water slide if we wanted. We could get smoothies in the coffee place. We couldn't go eat in the guest areas, like the restaurants or anything. We had to have special permission to do that, or if it was like a special occasion, they'd allow you to do it. Or if your family or friends were sailing, you could go eat dinner with them. But if we were working, we would work a lot.
Yeah.
We would work a lot. I think the most I worked in a week on board was like 75 hours. Like,
Oof.
yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah. They capped us at 90 because, you have to sleep. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. The most I've ever worked was like 75 hours, and it would just be continuous. You wake up, you go to work, you go eat, you go, it's like a habit,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we would work 4 to 5 months at a time, and then we'd have 10% of whatever our contract was for vacation, which was our off time. So I think I had about like 5 weeks off every 4 months. So 4 or 5 months. So
That's not bad.
it's not bad. I mean,
So while you were selling, you got that time off.
yeah. The
That's cool.
vacation time was unpaid, so you'd go home. So my
Okay.
contract ended and I go home, and then I come back
Okay.
in 5 weeks.
Okay. Oh, okay. I gotcha.
So you don't really have any days off when you're working on board. You just have like chunks of time off. So you'd have like
Okay.
4 hours off, or a couple hours off here, a couple hours off there, but never a solid like 24 hours off.
I gotcha.
So you're just
So
continuing.
yeah,
Did you
you're
have, like,
tired.
sick time?
What'd you say?
Did you have like sick time or anything like that?
You didn't technically have sick time, but if you were sick and they deemed you ineligible to work, you would have the day off, and then obviously they would not pay you for that.
Oh,
But you didn't have
that's a
like
bummer.
PTO. You didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. So did you get to experience a lot of the ports, or were you pretty much working the whole time that they were on port? And
So the cruise that I worked on went only to Nassau and Castaway Cay because they only did
Okay.
3 nights and 4 nights. I was not lucky to be moved to a different ship. I wish, but that's what guest sailings are for. So I
Yeah.
experienced a lot of Nassau and a lot of Castaway Cay. Yes, it's Key, not K, even though it's spelled C-A.
That is so confusing. Yes.
yeah, at first I used to always say that.
It's very confusing too, but my favorite of the two is Castaway, because it's like their private island, white sandy beaches.
Right.
There's a whole adult beach. There's a whole family beach. They've got bikes. They've got a running trail. They've got an observatory deck. It's like paradise right there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Definitely. My
Which,
sister got
were you
married
mo-
on Castaway, so that was cool.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yep, Jess did.
That's cool.
That's cool.
That was cool.
Isn't Castaway Cay where they have like the little statues underwater? You can go scuba
Yes.
diving
Yep.
and
You
find the
can go-
statues.
yeah,
Okay.
You can go
Yeah.
snorkeling. They just added a couple new things there. When we went
Okay.
in December, they had just added Boo's Door, the Prince Eric statue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a Daisy Duck statue and the submarine from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, cool.
There's lots of different places you can go see. It's pretty cool.
What was like, so 5 months out of the year, you're selling pretty much.
Yeah.
So is that summertime or like hurricane season? What was, rough seas, anything like that?
So my first contract started in June. So I went June to December, and then it was just a cycle. So I did sail through hurricane season, I guess you could call it, because that's September-ish, right?
Yeah, it starts in. Yes.
We sailed around Hurricane Sandy. That was an adventure. Disney and other cruise lines are really good at avoiding big storms and sailing around them. So we didn't sail through the hurricane, we sailed around it.
Yeah.
But
right.
even just on the outskirts of the hurricane, it was pretty choppy, like 12-foot waves, and they would close they would close deck 4 because the waves would crash up onto the sides of the boat, and they didn't want people to get hurt.
Yeah.
And I remember we were tying things down so they wouldn't move everywhere. And my friend it was called the workshop, so it connected both the kids clubs together in the back. And she was putting chairs away, and all of a sudden the waves went up, and she went whoop. She fell over because it was so strong.
Yeah.
It was,
oh my goodness.
that was crazy. So that was
So on your ship, you felt it a lot.
what?
When those seas get rough, you felt it a lot.
When they got rough, yeah. Especially when there's a hurricane, but generally they put the stabilizers out, and those are kind of like whale fins. They come out of the boat like this, and they just stabilize the boat. Airplane wings almost. And that helps tremendously. And I do know the higher up on the deck you are, the less motion you'll feel, because you're not at the waves, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So where are the cast member quarters? Is that the very bottom of the boat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I figured.
Yeah. There's deck 1, which is the lowest deck that a guest can go to, but then there's several decks below that have, obviously the engines and the propellers and all of that, but also where all the crew sleeps.
Okay.
Yeah. They're very small.
Was it
You must be
uncomfortable or
very
cramped,
fortunate not to get motion sickness.
Surprisingly, I never felt it.
Wow.
Really?
Even just sailing randomly throughout the year, I don't really feel it. You can always tell the people who haven't been on a cruise because they're walking like this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the boat's moving when it's not moving.
Yeah. That's going to be me and RJ one day.
Were there any other sort of emergencies or anything like that you had to deal with when you were aboard, or was that pretty much the extent of the worst of it?
That was the worst of it from what I can remember. But all the crew are trained. We go through this week-long emergency preparedness course, and they're prepared for anything. One time we did a mass casualty drill where we practiced what to do in the event of something terrible happening. So that was interesting to take part in.
Yeah.
What else?
Never had to use it, but it was
Never had to
interesting
use
to be a
it, but
part
it's good to know that everybody's
That's good.
trained on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we first get on board, we are taught how to flip over a life raft. So there's two different things. There's a life raft and a life boat. Obviously, the boats are where you want to get on if, the ship is going down. Never had to use them, but we're taught how to, if they capsize, we're taught how to flip them back right side up, which was very hard, but I'm glad I know how to do it.
Yeah.
So if you're ever on a cruise and you need to do that, let me know.
So my anxiety is telling me that I need to go on a cruise with Juliette.
That would be fun.
I will feel safe.
Juliet's all stay calm, and we're like,
It's funny that she says that because I think about like, I mean, as a teacher, there are things that we're trained into, right? Like, I mean, okay, fire drills are not the same as like saving someone's life on a raft, right? But like you're trained in fire drills and you're trained in, you know, these casualties, you're trained in all this. But like when it happens, it's like my mind has like a Michael Scott moment of it's happening. Like, you know, like staying calm is not what my mind does very well.
I will say, because I did all the trainings, I feel better during emergencies, if that makes sense. Like, I'm more calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are just like, wow, how are you so calm?
Yeah.
As the fire's happening or something else. You know?
Yeah.
I was on a cruise ship.
Yeah. I was a Disney cast member. That's funny.
Well, and I'm sure that Disney training is probably even more extensive than even some of the other cruise lines. I'm sure they don't go through as much as. Did you work with other people who had worked on other cruise lines before, or?
Yeah, there were a few people who worked on like Royal or Carnival.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on board. So it was neat to see everyone's different experiences. When I worked on board, there were only 80 Americans.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, like 80 Americans. Yeah.
Wow.
Everyone else was from Australia or the Philippines or China or anywhere else you can think of. Mexico, Australia.
Yeah.
I have friends like on every continent. It's really cool.
That's cool though. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Gives you a reason to travel.
Exactly.
There's always a good reason to travel, especially if there's a Disney park near.
Right.
Awesome.
So speaking of experiences, what were some of the most magical moments you think you've witnessed with guests?
My favorite to take part in would be, it's called Welcome Line, where you're welcoming everybody on board. So like when the guests start boarding, they'll announce them as welcome aboard. So like Disney Dream, welcome aboard Jesselyn and RJ. So it was really cool. And their faces were just like, what? And then when you go on another cruise line and they don't announce you on board, you're like, where's my announcement?
Yes. Here is my red carpet.
So that was my favorite. But other ones I've seen are like proposals or just like kids meeting their favorite characters, or even grown-ups meeting their favorite characters too. Cruise line's really great for having characters that aren't typically at the parks. So
So what was like a rare character that you had on your boat?
Max and Goofy. Well, Goofy's obviously always there because he likes to vacation.
Yeah.
But Max would come out because Goofy and Max have to vacation together too. But they would play mini golf up on the mini golf course that's up on.
Oh, I love that.
It was cool.
I love how they're like mingling.
Yeah.
Like this is their cruise too.
Exactly. They're on vacation too.
Yes.
Goofy,
that's the Disney magic there.
Yeah. Goofy likes to sleepwalk. So we saw him sleepwalking one night. It was great. He's walking around, he's like,
was he in his PJs?
He was. He had the little hat and everything.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. Oh my goodness, RJ, we have to go on a Disney cruise.
We'll go with you. You'll win all the Disney trivia.
Yes. I get competitive.
So speaking of like cruises, are there any things that guests should do on a Disney cruise, like underrated, or like things that people miss out on as guests that they shouldn't be skipping over, that they think is not as important but you think is really fun?
I like the game shows. They do like, there's a Kronk's, like from Kronk and Yzma, there's a game show about him.
Yes.
There's a family game show. There's Disney trivias. Karaoke is hilarious. There's just so many things to do that you feel like, oh, I'll do that later. And then by the time you get to it, the cruise is like over. And sometimes activities are only offered like once or twice. So I always try to tell, I always try to tell people to look on the Navigator app, and like once you get to the port, you can see the whole itinerary for the entire length of the cruise. So you can go in and heart what you like, what you want to go do, what characters you want to meet. And then it'll send you a push notification like 15 minutes before the event starts. So you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go meet Mickey at 5:00.
Yeah.
So that's really helpful.
Does the Navigator app work even though there's no like Wi-Fi if you don't pay for it, or how does that work?
So there's the free Wi-Fi that the Navigator app works on.
Okay.
You don't have to pay for the app or that Wi-Fi to use. And we've learned over the years that WhatsApp and iMessages work on that Wi-Fi for free. So you can send messages, like I could send you a message at home when I'm sailing, or so that's also comforting for us. Like, oh, the sitter can check in on us because she has an iPhone. She can message us.
Right.
One time I FaceTimed on the Wi-Fi, but it didn't really work. So I don't know if that was a fluke or not. But you can't like call. You can get the, like through Verizon or whatever phone service you have, you can get the cruise package where you can call people. But most of the places that they go, you get, like we go to the Mexico cruises, you get free calling in Mexico when we go. So I've never personally bought the internet on board unless I worked on the ship, but that was a whole different story because I worked on board. But as a guest, I've never bought it.
Well, that's nice to know that like iMessage works on that Wi-Fi, because I know like when mom and dad sail, mom always tells me the day that she's going to be porting in case there's an emergency. Like this is the days you can reach me, you know? So it's nice if there was an emergency or whatever. It's good to know.
There's also a way for someone to call the ship itself if there was like a dire emergency that they needed to get a hold of you. They could make it work, but it's really costly. So I love the fact that you can iMessage or even WhatsApp. It's just very helpful.
Yeah, that's now when you worked on the cruises, did you pay for the Wi-Fi most of the time, or?
A lot of the time I paid for the Wi-Fi, but it was really inexpensive as a crew member. So it was like a different type of Wi-Fi, I guess you could call it. Because we didn't use it a lot, but when we did, we would use it as a chunk of time. So you'd bought like an hour of internet type of thing, not like megabytes or whatever they do for the guests.
Does it work well, or is it pretty choppy and not worth paying for as like a cruise guest type thing?
I've heard it works really well, but I've also heard sometimes it could be spotty. I guess it depends on where you're at from what I've heard. Like if the weather is bad, it probably won't work as well. I know you can't stream on it, so you can't watch like Netflix or anything. But in the staterooms, they have all the Disney movies you could ever want to watch for free on the TVs. So
are the TVs kind of set up like the resort TVs where they have like the on-demand stuff? You know what I'm talking about when you go on property and you have like the Welcome Lopez family TV. Okay.
Yep, that's like that. And you can also catch the show. So they have the Broadway style shows at night. If you're not feeling up to going to the theater, they play them on a loop that night, so you can catch them in the rooms.
That's cool.
Sounds really neat.
So the Broadway shows, I'm assuming they're Disney Broadway.
They are, yeah.
So what Broadway played on your ship? I'm all into Broadways.
Each ship has a signature show, and each ship has one that's similar to another one on the other ship. Okay, headphone.
That's the worst about AirPods. I've constantly like
so on my ship there was the Golden Mickeys, and back then it was the Villains show. It was called Villains Tonight, and it was like a comedy show type of thing. The villains were trying to be funny. And then there was it was actually really good. But
I bet it was.
They changed it now to Beauty and the Beast on the Dream. So it's like the live action, kind of like the movie. So it's really good still. And then the third show is Disney Believe, which I cry every time I see it.
Aw. Disney's like,
still-
they know how to pull the
Yeah,
heartstrings.
they do. They tell stories really well.
They do.
Yeah.
Do you still go back on the dream as like a regular person, not like a cast member every once in a while?
Yeah, we're actually going this in June actually. So
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun.
yeah, I still have several friends that work on board, so it's always fun to see them. But a lot of the
Yeah.
times they've moved ships, so
Yeah.
it's really cool. As a person who knows people on board, sometimes they'll let
Yeah.
you sign people on board as a guest for the day.
Okay.
It's not really, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they did it back before COVID. So one time my mom, my dad, my sister, and I, we were down at Disney. I was like, oh, hey, I know someone on board. Maybe they'll let us come on. So they let us
Oh, that's cool.
they let us be a guest for the day, but then they kicked us off at, all aboard time. So,
Mm.
Yeah.
but it was still fun.
That's
We had the
neat,
whole
though.
ship to ourselves. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Did you, other than like Max, did you have any other cool interactions with characters or anything like that? Like, how is it with the kids club? I know you said they brought in characters. I've seen videos of them bringing in like Anna and Elsa. What
Yeah.
are some of the other like interactions that they have?
In the kids club, they do a story time with a princess, and it's always a mystery, so you don't know which princess will be there. A lot of the times it's Belle in her blue dress.
Oh my goodness, I've got to go on this ship. I can't.
Any of
There
the
is
ships,
too
so.
much Beauty and the Beast stuff happening for me.
If you're a Beauty and the Beast girl, which I can obviously tell you are,
Yes,
you need to go on
I
the
am.
dream. You need to go on the dream because they have the Beauty and the Beast
Yes.
show. On
Oh,
the Magic, they've got Lumiere's, which is a restaurant, so it's like all Beauty
Okay.
and the Beast themed.
yes.
But the princesses would come in. Sometimes like Captain Hook and Mr. Smee would come in.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, Jack Sparrow likes to run around the ship, which is also pretty cool.
That's awesome.
During Halloween,
Especially, I'm sure he caused chaos in the kids
Oh,
club.
on Pirate Nights, all the characters are dressed up as pirates, which is really cool. Stitch looks adorable in his little pirate outfit. During Halloween, they've got Jack and Sally. They'll come visit. Not the kids club
cool.
themselves, but they'll just have a character meet and greet.
And that's
Yeah.
like a very popular character to meet. Like we were talking about the Halloween party last week, and people will wait the whole party just to meet Jack and Sally. Yeah.
And then who else comes on? During Christmas, Santa Goofy likes to visit. So that's pretty cool. He's dressed up as Santa.
I love
That's
that.
funny.
Yeah.
So what's what's the pirate night? Is that on every cruise they have the pirate night?
Every cruise will have some type of themed night, and generally
Okay.
it's pirate night. They call it Pirates in the Caribbean because most of the time
Okay.
it's the Caribbean. So at dinner, every restaurant will have the same menu, and it's pirate menu. So it's piratey themed things. There's a lot of seafood that night. So if you're seafood fans, that's the night for you. I am not, so I never eat that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after dinner, after both dinners are done, because there's a first seating and a second seating, they'll have a pirate party on deck, and they'll shoot off fireworks, which is really cool. Disney's the only company that's allowed to shoot fireworks off at sea.
Ooh.
So,
Because
you
they're
never-
special.
They're special. Well, it's Disney, and they know they'll be like, okay, I'm not going to hurt the environment.
Yeah, right.
So, Pirate Night's
Did you
really
guys get to
fun.
participate in those as cast members? Like, did you get to dress up or did you get to do those sorts of things?
We didn't get to be in any of the shows because we weren't trained for the shows, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There might be some people that can, but I'm not that coordinated. So yeah.
Me either. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
I cannot dance, so. But there sometimes during the Halloween season, Halloween on the high seas, the cast members will dress up in their costumes, and it's really fun. You can go trick or treating and everything like that. It's kind of like a miniature. He's not so scary, but on board.
Yeah. Do you get as much candy as what you do at Mickey's Not So Scary? Because I'm pretty sure we still have candy left over.
Oh, we still have candy from last year, yeah.
Yeah.
We got a fair amount, probably not as much as we did at Disney World, but if you just keep going through the stations, they're not going to care. Here's your shovel.
Right.
Here's your shovel.
Yeah.
Here's another shovel.
Right.
Here's your other, yeah, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we got to do that at the Halloween party too. Like there was no one in line and we just like went back through again. And we do.
Ironically, we were both at the same Halloween party night, I think, and we saw each other.
Yeah, we were.
Realizing.
Yeah. We watched the parade together.
Yeah.
Yep. RJ fought for a spot. He was so mad.
Literally.
You can't get
Oh. All right.
Crazy.
Speaking of food, I have no idea how food works. So I know that like some people can do dining, where you can go to a dining restaurant, like a sit down, you have an appointment type thing, or some people can do like just like what we would consider Disney World quick service, where it's got like a bunch of different food options. So like, how does rotational dining? Because I know as a travel agent, I've learned a little bit about this stuff, but I'm still not quite confident in it. So like, there's some people that have time slots. There's one that's like any time, or I don't know. You're gonna have to explain this to me.
So Disney does rotational dining, which is really cool.
Okay.
And it's unique to them because other cruise lines, they just tell you when to come get food and then you go. But with Disney, there's 3 main restaurants on board. For example, on the Dream, we had Royal Palace, Animator's Palette, and Enchanted Garden. Every night, you're assigned a dinner time. So there's either main seating or late seating. We try to go for I guess it depends if we have kids with us or not, the early seating, because kids are kids and they're unexpected sometimes, you know. Yeah. And the late seating is usually pretty late. It's at like 8 o'clock. So, I mean, that's pretty late.
I couldn't do that.
No. So we always try to do the main one if we're with kids, but if it's just like my mom or I or my friends or I, we'll just do the later one. And so every night you go to a different restaurant and your service staff follows you. So you're going to have the same waiters the entire length of your cruise, which is really cool. Yeah, they get to know you. They get to know what you like, what you don't like. Sometimes they'll do magic tricks or they'll just have fun little interactions with you. We took a cruise over like right after COVID had ended. So it was like the most magical thing ever because there was no one on board. So the waiters really got to know us. And this one guy, the one waiter, I can't remember his name, but he learned this trick with his phone where if you hold one of those little like drink swords, you know, like you'd get with like a garnish or something. You hold it up like this and then you turn your flash on, it lights up like a lightsaber. So he's like,
that's cool.
Yeah, I'll have to find the picture to show you guys. He's like, I'm gonna make you have a lightsaber. Just hold it like this. So I'm like in a picture like this. I'm like, what do I do? And it's got. It's really fun. So they'll just do fun things like that, and they get to know like you as a person, and you get to know them as people, which is also really cool. You get to go to every restaurant at least once, and then on Pirate Night, it's the same menu for every restaurant. So you'd go to the restaurant that you were at the night before. So you're not missing anything.
So that makes it a little more fair. Yeah,
exactly. So you're not like everything's the same on that one night, so you're not missing out on the next show. On the longer cruises, you'll get to go to each restaurant like 2 or 3 times depending on how long it is, and what your rotation follows. And all of that's in your Disney Cruise Line app, which is like vital. You have to have it if you want to survive on board.
So they only do those for dinner And then for breakfast and lunch, you can go anywhere, or how does that work?
So for breakfast, there's always one of the main dining rooms open for breakfast, and same for lunch. One of the main dining rooms is open for lunch, or you can go to the upper decks and get like quick service food, like chicken tenders, burgers, hot dogs. One of the ships has shawarma, which is pretty cool. I've never had that. Maybe I'll
Marvel
have to try
joke.
it.
Is it the Marvel one? Yeah.
Um, and then there's also cabanas, which is their buffet. That's always open for lunch and dinner. Or not, sorry, breakfast and lunch, not dinner. They used to be open for dinner, but they stopped doing that after COVID, which is a bummer because, I don't know,
Yeah.
I've never done it during dinner because we always like, oh, we got to go to the dining room. But here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and there's
Is there
ice
any,
cream on
like-
board. Like soft serve ice cream is free, so you can just get as many ice cream cones as you want.
Do they have Dole Whip?
They do. You have to pay for it.
This is even
but-
better.
Yeah. you have to
Oh,
pay for it.
of course.
I know it's cheaper than the parks though, so
Magic comes with a price.
magic comes with a price. So the only things you have to pay
Now-
for on a Disney cruise would be like smoothies or alcoholic beverages or specialty coffees, and obviously Dole Whip. Or some of the ships have like a sweet shop. Like it's Vanellope's on the Dream, so it's all based on oh my gosh, Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah.
There's one on, I think it's the Fantasy that's like Sweet on You, which is all Mickey and Minnie themed, kind of like the Runaway Railroad ride,
Yeah.
something like that. So they have different desserts, which is pretty cool. Room service is free, which is awesome. It's 24 hours. My
Ooh,
dad was infamous
nice.
for ordering a steak sandwich at 2 a.m.
That's awesome.
We always tip them like $1 or $2 per item, depending on how many things we ordered. But it was complimentary, which is cool. And they have a secret menu. That's
Nope.
also
Ooh,
neat.
what's the
What-
secret
what-
menu?
Yeah. What's on the secret menu?
Right. There's a cake of the day. There's warm chocolate chip cookies and milk. There's you can get Mickey ice cream bars. Like the
Of
Mickey
course.
stick. You can also get those in the dining room, but we like to get them at room service because it's more fun.
Yeah.
They also sometimes have Uncrustables. So that was really great when we would go on an excursion or a port adventure the next day. We would order like 4 or 5 Uncrustables. And,
Oh, that's smart.
yeah, and take them off because you can take things off
Yeah.
the ship that are not opened. So we would have something to eat.
Yeah.
So that was like
No,
Okay,
that's
I know
really
this-
smart, especially for kids.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I know this is gonna sound weird, but I like to have water by my bedside. Like, could you do that with room service, or how does that work?
So you can buy a water package. They have like water bottles that you can buy, but a lot of the times up on the upper decks, they've got their soda fountains, and the water is really good. Like we used to be the ones that brought on water, and we're like, no, this is dumb. I'm wasting my luggage space. I'm wasting my like money. I don't need to do this. I'm just gonna get the free water.
Yeah.
Any of the lounges will give you a cup of water if you need it, or any of the restaurants, any
Okay.
of the quick service places that have it, they'll give
Gotcha.
you water. Yeah, just
So
don't
it
drink the
doesn't have
water out of
that.
the sinks because that's not very good.
Yeah. The Florida parks are known for its metallic-y tasting water, but the boats don't have that, right?
It's
That's
probably
good.
the best water I've had.
That's
compared to
good.
Disney
Yeah.
World.
Now-
Disney World's water is not very good.
They also do like dining reservations and stuff like that too, right? So, is there anyone that you prefer with that, or
So they have-
that you say everybody should try?
My favorite is Palo Brunch. Like hands down, I could eat that chicken parmesan from Palo Brunch every day and be happy. And the almond croissants, those are like very good. But there's Paolo and Remy, and then on the newer ships, there's Enchante and something else. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Those are adult only, so they are only for adults. You have to be 18 or older, and they're additional in price. So I want to say Paolo was like $50 a person, which isn't bad because you get a lot of really good food. And you
For
won't-
Disney, that isn't bad at all.
Yeah. Especially like if you're used to going to Disney World, you're like, oh, there's a dinner for
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
right.
real though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So those
Been there.
Yeah. I've done that. Take me to the cruise now.
All right, so going back to being a cast member, are there any funny stories that you have from life on the ship, or just funny interactions with guests that you have that you could share?
I'm trying to think of a couple. I have a really cool one that happened to me. It was my birthday one year, and we were doing something called Dine and Play, where the youth activities people went to the dining room, the late seating, and we would go pick up the kids that wanted to come to the club, and we'd check them in with us, and we'd bring them up to the kids club. And as I'm walking around, I've got a little happy birthday button because, you know, celebrating your birthday. And all I hear is happy birthday. And I was like, me? And he's like, yeah. I look over and it's John Stamos.
No.
Yeah. He's like, happy birthday. That was really cool.
And how did it feel to know that for like 4 days and 3 nights you were on the same boat as John Stamos?
That was really cool. So I can't top that, but
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think anything could top that. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
That's so cool.
I called. Well, I texted my mom. I was like, "Mom, John Stamos
Oh yeah.
birthday to me." She's like, I don't believe
I'd be
you.
like,
I was
"Can I take a
"No, he
picture?"
did, I swear." Of course, we couldn't
That's
take a
so
picture
cool.
because I was working. But
Yeah.
but even as a
Aw.
crew member, you're not allowed to like go hunt them down and be like, I want a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm
That.
sure.
Yeah, they have rules, you know. You gotta follow them.
What are some like cool things that you could see as a cast member that like guests couldn't see on a cruise ship, like how a cruise ship runs or something like that?
It's like a big city underneath all of the decks. It's kind of cool. Okay, it is cool. We have something called the I-95, which is kind of funny because you guys have the I-95 there. It's like our straight
Yeah.
pathway down
Yeah.
the center of the boat of the ship.
Okay.
The guest areas, they're not completely straight, but they're not straight. They're like curvy and stuff. But ours is straight, and we have anything you could want. There's medical. There's like a business center type of place where you can go print things if you need to. There's a barber shop. The girls did not go there because
Oh, I didn't even think that.
yeah, the men did. There's activity rooms for us. There's crew laundry. There's a movie room. Pretty much anything
cool.
you would want. There's even a shop that we could go to and buy things. Pretty much anything you would want was there for us. The coolest thing that I got to experience was I got invited to go up to the bridge, which is where they steer the boat, and it's like the captain's area. So I got to sit in the captain's chair, and
That's cool.
yeah, that was really cool. We got to see the Mickey whistle, the buttons that you push for the Mickey whistle.
Oh, yes.
And the steering wheel is that big. Literally, for the
Really?
No
it's, like,
way.
that big.
Big old ship, small
Yeah,
little steering wheel. That's funny.
So that was really cool.
Yeah, so did you buy stuff a lot of times on the ship, or did you wait until you got to port and then bought it on port?
It depended what I needed. If the cruise store had what I needed, I would buy it there. But a lot of the times we would like plan out, okay, on this embark day, I can get off the ship, go to Walmart, go to Target, go to the mall. So it just depended on what I needed. But I tried to bring everything I thought I would need on board with me when I joined the ship. just because I didn't want the stress of having to leave and then go get it and then come back and be on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
How much time would you have had between on your embark days, you said it was?
It
Much
depends
time?
on where you fell on your schedule. So if you had a late start, you could start at like 4 o'clock. Or like your all aboard time is 3 o'clock, so you'd have to be back on board by 3, but you wouldn't start work till 4. So sometimes we would get off at the crack of dawn and rent a car and go to Disney for the day, go to Disney World, because we were in Port Canaveral, so it was 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Or we would go to Universal, or we would go do something, but that required a lot of extra planning. Just because
Yeah, I'm sure.
You gotta coordinate with other people and
Right.
Yeah.
So, it depends
Were you
on
considered
when.
a cast member that you could get into Disney World for free, or did you have to pay for your tickets?
No, we were
Nice.
considered cast. Yeah, they call us crew members, but we were cast members. So yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, I would.
So I don't remember if RJ already mentioned this, but how did you become like a crew member? Was it like a college program, or you just applied, or?
So I did 2 college programs before I joined on board. I did them at Disney World, but then, you go back and forth from Disney to home when you're doing these, and you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's go do something fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mom and I had gone on a cruise probably a year before I joined, and we had the Hidden Mickey book. The old rectangle.
Yes.
The yellow Hidden Mickey.
Yeah, y'all actually got that for us before our honeymoon. Yeah, we still have it. Yeah.
I want to find one and see if they have the Hidden Mickeys still in places, but I'm sure it's changed. But there was a cruise line one, and my mom and I spent a lot of time looking for the. Sorry, the cat wants to join us. She's like, hello. We were looking for some, and there were some in the kids club. And at the time that we had gone, grown-ups were allowed to go into the kids club, even if it was secure programming. So that was a long time ago. And this one guy was like, oh yeah, I'll show it to you. So we're just laying on the middle of the floor of the Oceaneers Club looking for these hidden Mickeys up in the ceiling. And I was like, I want to do this.
Oh, yeah.
So a couple months later, I was like, how do I become a crew member on board Disney Cruise Line? So I searched it up, and you have to go through an outside recruiting agency type of thing. And then, you go through a phone interview, and then you have a medical test that you have to go through, and then all the joining the ship trainings you have to do, and then 3 months later I was on board as a crew member. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's so cool.
it was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
Well, RJ and I are first timers, right? Well, we've never been on a cruise.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you cut out.
one who is going on their very first Disney cruise.
You froze. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh no. Okay, so
first Disney cruise, and I'm like, there's no one.
yes.
Yeah.
What are your tips for someone going on their very first Disney cruise?
Oh, good. We're actually taking my nieces on there, my niece and my nephew on their first cruise in June, so I have lots of tips. I wrote them down because I didn't want to forget them. Let me look for them. The first one I would say is to look at the Navigator app before you set sail and just heart everything that you want to do or what you think you want to do. But also make sure you're taking time to relax, because the best part of a Disney cruise is it's Disney on a boat where you can relax and have all the time in the world. But you don't want to be like, oh, I'll do that later. Oh, I'll do that later. And then suddenly it's the last night of the cruise and you're like, oh, I didn't do that. I'm really sad. So definitely make sure you're doing what you want to do. I wrote more down. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Oh, you're good.
Be flexible, because, you're on vacation. You don't want to stress yourself out. You just kind of plan out your day. And eat. eat all the food. All the food.
I wouldn't have a problem with
No, me
that.
neither. You can order multiple of something. So if there's 2 entrees you want, order it. If there's 2
Oh,
desserts you
cool.
want, order it. You can even order off the kids menu. There's one restaurant that I'm not
Ooh.
particularly fond of, and I order off the kids menu from it because it sounds better to me than the adult menu.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and just like explore the ship. Don't be afraid to get lost. But I do have a tip. If you do get lost, you can look at the carpet in the hallways to tell which way you're walking, which is pretty cool.
That's
so
cool.
it's a big map of the world, and it's a circle, and it has the cruise ships on the carpet. If if you're looking at it and the ships are right side up, you're going forward. But if they're
Okay.
upside down and capsized, you're going aft. So you're
Okay.
going to the back of the ship. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And then on most of the ships, not the newer classes because they changed it, but like on the Disney Dream and the Wonder and the Magic and the Fantasy, they have little fish emblem things on the walls next to your room to show your room number. On the port side, that's the left side of the ship, that also has the fish on it, and fish has 4
Okay.
letters, and there's 4 letters in port, so you know you're on the port side. And then
Yeah.
there's a starfish and a seahorse on the starboard side, so you can kind of play along like that.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
Little
cool.
things you don't even think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are just the little things.
That's super helpful.
So those are my.
Are there any rooms that are like definitely not gonna happen? Don't stay in that room. It's right next to the elevator. Don't do it. You know, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Like, should I stay in an upper room, lower room? Like, what's your best room recommendations?
It depends on which ship I'm on. That sounds really weird, I know. But on the 2 original ships, the Magic and the Wonder, our favorite rooms are the inside staterooms, but they're sideways. So normally when you're walking into a stateroom, you walk in and the bed is in front of you. Like you're right there. But on a sideways room, you're opening the door to the side of the room. So the bed is in this corner and then the bathroom's on the other corner. And then there's like a little living space almost. So it makes the room feel bigger, but it's not. It's the same size, but it just feels bigger. Those are our favorite rooms to stay in. We like to stay in the inside rooms because then we can spend money on other things.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Souvenirs that I probably don't need, but I want them anyway.
Yes.
I think,
that's my weakness.
I think the room that we didn't like the most was when we stayed on deck 10 in the very back with an extended veranda. The veranda was great, but above us was cabanas. So every morning you would hear the tables scraping across the ceiling, and you're just like, if I had kids, I would be going crazy because they'd be woken up. So that was the only downside to it. I always try to look and see what's above me on a cruise when I'm booking a room, or below me, or like next to me.
Yeah.
So
That's smart.
Do you have a preference on, like, I know some people with vertigo say stay midship, not after, you know, like what is does it matter, or have you noticed a difference? I know you don't notice a difference, but
my
with
family
seeing
doesn't
guests too.
really notice a difference because we just pick rooms that we know we like, which is weird, I know, but we know what we like. But my sister has terrible vertigo, the one that we're taking on in June, and she's like, I cannot stay in the forward. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we're staying midship on a higher deck. So we're staying like, I'd say above deck 7, you're pretty solid. You're not going to feel it.
Yeah.
But
I have the worst vertigo. So like going to Disney World, I have to wear the patch behind my ear type vertigo just to ride like Dumbo or, you know, like basic rides. So
don't go during
that's been
hurricane
my biggest
season.
fear.
Or out of the Gulf of Mexico. You don't want to go on those because that was really rocky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, surprisingly. But we also went in February when we did that. So I don't know if it was just a fluke weather system that came in.
Yeah.
But things that help with vertigo, definitely the little seasickness patch. I think it's called scopolamine.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I get for
Yeah.
Disney World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get that, and then there's the C bands, which are little like wristbands that have like a pressure point thing on your arm, and green apples and ginger ale. So,
Really? Green
Sounds like
apple?
all the
Apples.
things that I used when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I had those C bands I would wear because I was so nauseous all the time.
So that was definitely helpful. Yeah. And sometimes if the ship is like crazy rocky, the guest services will have like seasickness pills out, like Dramamine or something or whatever they
Yeah.
have. They're just like out there. It's like taking them like candy.
Yeah.
Do you have a best time of year that you like to go, or like is it just based on price, like go in January because nobody's going, or
Yeah.
is it anything like that?
For me, I'm a teacher, so I have to go like when I'm not in school, or during
Yeah.
school breaks. But I've sailed every month of the year when I worked on the cruise line and just
Right.
cruises in general. And it depends on where you're going, but I really like the fall time or like Christmas or even, I don't know, I just like them all. I can't pick. This is the first time we're going to cruise in June as a guest.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Is
know.
the Bahamas pretty much warm like all year round, or is it like when you went, because I know that was your primary destination,
Yeah.
so is it pretty much like
hot.
California?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty hot. It's like Florida. When we went in December, the water was cooler, but like you got in and you were used to it, and then you were fine.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like iceberg cold.
Right.
Yeah.
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 All right, so being a personal, like I know you said the Disney cruise you went on was the same destination every time, but you've also cruised on your own outside of that. What's been your favorite destination so far?
My favorite. My mom and I took a week-long Western Caribbean. That was really fun. We went to Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta and a couple of other places down in Mexico. That was really nice. I've done Alaska on a different cruise line. That was really fun. I want to go back, but do it on Disney because we saw the wonder in the port that we were at, and we were really sad that we were not on that ship. My dream cruise would be the 9-night Greek Isles cruise out of Rome. That would be my
Yes.
I want to go on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I want to do a Europe cruise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, another question that I didn't write down, but I wanted to ask you, when you're traveling to like the Bahamas and stuff, do you have to have a passport, or are there certain cruises that you don't and certain that you do?
So I always travel with a passport because you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
It's worth the expense, in my opinion, just because you don't want to be stuck in a foreign country.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. So if your cruise on Disney leaves from the same port and arrives back at the same port, so it's called a closed loop cruise, you don't technically have to have a passport. So if you left Fort Lauderdale and you came back to Fort Lauderdale, that's closed. But if you were doing like San Diego to Vancouver, that's an open one. So you'd need to have a passport for that one. I read somewhere that they changed the rules, but I can't say what they are off the top of my head, but that's what I know. I always recommend getting a passport. Number one, it's just nice to have as another form of ID, but number two, it shows that you're a citizen of America and or where you're from, and you're like, yeah, I'm stuck in Nassau. I need to get home.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Okay, another thing, did you see a lot of medical emergencies happen where you thought, hey, it's like good to get that vacation protection? Or do you recommend that? Or do you say it's not worth the money, really?
I know a lot of credit cards have vacation protection. So that's also an option. We don't typically get the vacation protection. We just don't want to pay for it. I've seen several medical emergencies where they've had to either be airlifted off the boat or like they've had to get off the ship in whatever port we're in. So I mean, it's kind of like a gamble, you know. If you're relatively healthy, you're gonna be fine. But if you might have a pre-existing condition, who knows what's gonna happen?
Right.
So it's really up to you. But I do know that like a lot of like the Chase Disney card, they have vacation protection, like travel insurance.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's a couple of other ones like I don't know, one of the other travel cards. You know, most of the travel cards.
Just check.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was curious because like you know, you hear about those. I know it probably doesn't happen, but if it does happen, you trip, fall, you break your leg, you know, something like that, and you have to go to the doctors on the ship. It can be pretty costly unless you have some sort of insurance. So that's why I was curious if you saw any of that and like, would you recommend it or not? But I didn't know that about the credit card, so that's actually I'm gonna
always check with them.
your credit card.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I booked a trip for some lady. She's like, "Oh, I don't need that. My credit card has it." I was like, "Oh, didn't even think of that."
That is nice to know, though. Yeah.
So,
No, that's awesome. All right, last question for today. Would you ever work on a cruise ship again if given the opportunity, or are you kind of like, I'm glad I did it, but never again?
I mean, it's kind of in the middle. I really enjoyed my time working on board, but I don't know how in the world I worked 75 to 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So I guess if the cards were right and it all worked out and like I got what I wanted, then I would, but I don't think I would quit my job today and go work for them tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But you enjoyed the time that you had, probably. I'm sure.
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun. The people, the friends that you make, it makes your whole experience. I've got friends everywhere, so I can be like, oh hey, I'm going to this country. Can I come say hi?
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Too, so.
If you have questions, you have to ask Juliette. If you have cruise questions, reach out to her. Core memory. See, I have zero memory. Core memory trips. You have to find her on Facebook or Instagram. Are you on Instagram too?
Instagram.
So find them on Facebook or Instagram. She is the person to go to if you have cruise questions, because she is obviously way more of an expert than what we are. So feel free to reach out. We're going to have you back again to talk about like Alani and Paris and all those other parks that you've been to.
I'll be at Disneyland Paris next weekend, actually. So.
Oh, jealous. I'm jealous.
We need a trip report episode.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah, please do. So we'll have to bring you back for sure, and maybe a few weeks after you've gone on that trip and have this one posted too. So thank you so much for coming on tonight and for being a part of our podcast. And I feel like I actually know a little bit about cruises now. So
well, you learned
yes.
Cruise, so.
I'm ready to go on one. Yes, we will.
Yeah.
We will.
Hey, you and your kid can come. RJ.
We'll be there.
Well, I think that's gonna do it for today's episode. And if you have any other questions, definitely shoot us a message as well, and we'd love to. We'll reach out to Juliette on your behalf and ask those questions as well. We'd love to help you in any way we can, especially since we don't know a lot about it, but she does, and so it's a nice resource to have for sure. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on the podcast, and we will now not switch to the same pre-recorded message we played last week.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our show. Before you go, please don't forget to gather your belongings and head over to our email at carouselpod@gmail.com to ask us your questions. Oh, and wouldn't you believe it? You can now bring the magical sense of vacation right into your home. Check out the Magic Candle Company and use our exclusive link with the code CarouselPod at checkout to get 15% off your order. And don't forget, we're here to help you plan your future Disney trips. Just send us a message at rj@famvia.com. Until next time, we'll see you in a great, big, beautiful week.